Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining us today for today's Odoo Live webinar. It is now 11 o'clock Pacific time on the dot, and we're going to go ahead and get started here. My name is Clark Stewart. I'm going to be hosting today's webinar, which will be presented by my colleague Nathan Moss here. And today's topic will be how to manage a retail company using Odoo. So we're going to talk a little bit about inventory, a little bit about point of sale, and some other topics which you'll see in the agenda in just a moment. But before we begin, I do want to talk a little bit about some procedural items for those of you who might be unfamiliar with this format. Today's presentation should take, what do you think, about 30, 45 minutes?
It's about 40, yeah.
40 minutes, which will leave us about 20 minutes for a Q&A at the end of the presentation. Throughout Nate's presentation, I will be answering your questions in the chat box to the right of the video, and I will be reserving any questions that bear going into in more detail for the Q&A session at the end. So keep your questions, coming throughout the presentation, and we'll try to answer everything that comes in. Also, know that today's session is being recorded, so you can revisit this recording at any time just by going to this same URL that you're at right now. This is the same as the access link that you received by email if you joined this webinar through our website, if you signed up through our website, or if you got here by some other means, just copy the URL, bookmark this page, what have you, and you can revisit this at any time. There's also a DVR feature in YouTube where you can, if you go, what did you just say? You can just jump back by manipulating the bar at the bottom of the YouTube video as you would if it were not live. So, and this recording will be posted to our YouTube playlist, our live webinars YouTube playlist when we finish. If you're interested in viewing future webinars, please subscribe to our channel. We broadcast weekly at least in English and Spanish. So please subscribe to our channel. You'll be notified when we go live. Also, if you are interested in learning more, talking more in detail about your specific business with Nathan, who is a business advisor here, it's his job to help people analyze Odoo and determine whether it's a good fit for their business. So if you're interested in talking about that in more detail with Nathan, you can book a meeting directly on his calendar using the link in the description of the video, and that link is just odoo.com/r/Nathan. And with that, I will turn it over to Nathan.
Thank you, Clark, and hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Before beginning, just like to better explain our roles here at Odoo. My role is a business advisor here, and it's to help customers with their evaluation of the software. So I help customers by understanding the softwares that they're using today, understanding the pain points that are associated with those, and then demonstrating how their current processes can be streamlined and better organized with Odoo. So I answer questions about specific functionality within the software as well as best practices for implementation. So Clark here is a functional consultant. His department specifically handles the implementation of Odoo. Specifically Odoo online projects. Once evaluations are completed and a customer is onboarded, next step is to work with Clark's team to get your data into the system and then make sure the applications are configured correctly to your workflows. So that's through one-on-one dedicated consulting. It's their goal to get you up and running with your core applications as quickly as possible, which typically lasts about 1 to 4 months depending on the size and scope of the project. Okay, so let's see. Here's an agenda for our webinar today. Let's see here.
Let me just switch over to slides for you.
Thank you. So today, so we're going to walk through a product configuration and inventory. We'll actually access our inventory app. We'll create a new product and configure how it will be presented in our point of sale, as well as on our e-commerce store. Then we'll purchase in products from our vendors. We'll transfer products from our warehouse to our retail locations. And then today, we're primarily going to focus on our point of sale. So we're going to link our point of sale terminal to that retail location and inventory. We'll process some transactions and then even touch on some other topics such as the hardware for our point of sale that's available with our system. Okay, then of course, time permitting, we'll open up some time for Q&A towards the end of the session like Clark mentioned before.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's go ahead and begin the session. So I'm just going to tab over here to our database here. Thanks, Clark. Alrighty. So first, let's access our inventory app. We're going to create a product and then configure how it's going to be presented in our point of sale, as well as on our e-commerce store. So let's go ahead. We'll access inventory here. So here is our inventory dashboard. We see different cards here for our receipts. So these are anything that we're set to receive into our inventory. We We also have internal transfers, which we'll use to move from one location to another, as well as delivery orders. So any items we have to actually go ahead and deliver to a customer. Also, our point of sale orders we could actually access through here as well. So let's see. Let's go into our products here. Here's where we can manage, add, and remove our products just by going to inventory control and products. Let's go ahead. We're actually going to add in a new product here. So as you can see, the use case that we're going through is Moss Mart. It's a drugstore here. So we have 4 products that are already configured. It looks like 5 products with our miscellaneous here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to add in a new product now. So we're just going to click create here. Perfect. So let's see here. I'm actually going to name this product. I'm going to say this is going to be our men's multivitamin. It's going to be 85 tablets. Perfect. So this internal reference field here, internal reference is basically a SKU number. So I'm going to reference this as our M-multi-85 here. One thing to note, we want to keep this as a stockable product. Stockable products will allow us to see our on-hand levels. We can also manage consumables. So consumables will be items we can still sell off and manage with inventory operations, but we're not actually going to keep track of what we have on hand. We also have service products here. Of course, not going to be associated with inventory. We can also add a barcode for this product, and I'm actually going to add this by scanning the barcode that is on my product right now. So let me go ahead and scan that here. And I have a barcode scanner that's plugged in with a USB cord into my laptop. Pretty much just serves as a keyboard for us. Let's see here. The internal category here, I'm actually going to categorize this now. Let's see here. We'll say all saleable and supplements. And let's go ahead and set a sale price for this, say, for $13.99. And how about a cost of, say, $6.25? Perfect. Okay, so now, let's see. Let's go into our inventory tab. Now, I'm going to set this on the route here to buy. Here in this database, we actually just have these 2 options because that's all that we've activated with these apps and configurations that are already in place. Some other routes that could be tied in with other apps are, for example, manufacture or dropship. But for the sake of this demo, we're going to simply stick to purchasing this item into our inventory. Also, one thing to note is having this set as make to order means that a sale will actually trigger this operation. So a sale will trigger the purchase process here. One popular routing configuration would be make to order, buy, and dropship, meaning that we're going to sell this item, which is going to trigger the system to automatically draft a purchase order, which we would then confirm and have the product dropship directly from the vendor to the customer. But for the sake of this demo, we're just going to actually purchase this item into our inventory, and then we'll sell it through point of sale. Anyways, that's beside the point. Back to our case here. Let's go ahead and add a vendor here. So we can add our vendor generic corp. Let's go ahead and add in here. We can select from our already existing vendors just by choosing from our drop-down list here. We can specify a different vendor product name and a different vendor product code if our vendor actually references his product differently. These will automatically populate into purchase orders here. But for now, I'm just going to add in a price here. We, of course, can set a minimum quantity as well for an order and even have validity as well. So basically, these are just date fields. These would be relevant if our vendor, let's say, gives us quarterly pricing or something of that nature. We can specify the price for, one date to the next. I'm going to leave these blank for now. I'm just going to add in a price here, and let's just go ahead and save. Perfect. Okay. So under the Sales tab here, this is where we can configure how this product will appear in our sales channels, which are going to be our website and our point of sale. In the website section, I have the opportunity to specify alternative products, which appear on this products page. Also, we can specify accessory products, which actually appear when the product is in a cart, so at the very last step there before checkout. I'm just going to add this into a website category, let's say of supplements, and let's go ahead and go down to our point of sale here. So looking at our point of sale, we're going to make this available now, and I'm going to add this into a point of sale category. I'm going to say supplements and vitamins. Perfect. And this is just going to make it easier on whoever's operating our point of sale, so whoever's actually our cashier, they'll be able to find this product in this section there. Let's see here. Onto our invoicing tab. This is where we can specify some taxes, vendor taxes, things of that nature, and of course invoicing policy right down below. Our notes here, this is where we can specify different notes that can actually arrive on these different documents here when this product is specified within. So we can have a description for quotations, a description for vendors as well, and even a description for delivery orders and transfers. Just adding these in here, these will arrive on those different documents. Also have this images tab here. Images allows us to add in multiple different images to our website. So if you wanted to have a thumbnail of a few different options there, we can just click create and add in an image there. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to add in a main image for our product here. Let's see, we'll add that in and open. Perfect. So now we have an image that's associated here. And let me just save this in for now. Perfect. Okay, let's see. A barcode can only be assigned to one product. Looks like I already have the barcode assigned to another product. I actually archived this one when I was doing some testing before. So let's see. I'll just clear this off for now. If we're going to sell this product, we can just do a manual selection there. So let's just go ahead. I'll save for now. Perfect. Okay. So as you can see, we can decide if this, looking at our action buttons here, we can decide if this product is actually going to be published on our web store just by clicking in here. So let's see. We can actually publish this now. And this is actually going to redirect us over to our e-commerce. So as you can see, here's all the information we just added in. There's our pricing. Of course, here's our image that we just added. To publish this, all I have to do is click in here. And now this is actually live and can be sold on our e-commerce store. So let's see, just going to track back to inventory now. It's going back to our dashboard and back into our inventory. Let's go inventory control and products and into that product we just created. Perfect. Okay, so as you can see up here in the action buttons, we can also see any purchases that have been made of this product. We can see any sales that have been made of this product, as well as what we have on hand versus what we have forecasted. So our on-hand quantities are what we physically have in any of our inventory locations. Our forecasted quantity here is actually going to take into account anything we have set to deliver or anything that we have set to actually receive. So if, for example, I confirm a purchase order, I now have some items that are set to receive, the forecasted would increase by that number. Also with traceability, this allows us to see all of the movements of this product into and out of our inventory. And lastly, we also have our reordering rules here. So let's actually click in here and activate our reordering rules. So you're probably wondering, how do I bring in my products and make sure that they do not ever go out of stock? So basically, if I click create here, I can actually set up minimum quantities on this product. So for example, if I want to always say I have 50 of these in stock, and let's say I want to have a maximum, let's say, of 200. I'm going to go ahead and add that in here. Basically, what will happen with these reordering rules is the system's going to reference this minimum quantity and reference that against our forecasted quantity each night at midnight. So every 24 hours there, it's going to run. If we are below this minimum quantity here, the system's going to automatically generate a purchase order to get us back up to this maximum here. And as you can see, you can set these on a per location basis. You can have multiple reordering rules for one product. Right now, I'll just purchase this into our general stock location. Okay, so just going to track back here. Let's go into our product. Double checking here, we have 0 on hand. So I'm actually going to run these reordering rules now, just running them manually. So let's run the schedulers. It says computing all procurements in the background. So let's go ahead and run those schedulers now. So now if we trace over to our purchase module, we should have a PO that's waiting for us here. So let's click on in. Perfect. So let's access here. And as you can see, there's our men's multivitamin to get us up to our maximum there. And of course, it populates in there with the unit price and the vendor that's associated with the product. So it's just automatically generating a drafted PO for us. So right now we're here in our purchase module. Basically, we can go through and start with this document here as a request for quotation. So if we wanted to get pricing back from our vendor, we can send this as an RFQ by email to our vendor. Basically, that will just include the product. It'll include, of course, the scheduled date and the quantity, but it's going to exclude the price. So we're asking for our price back from our vendor. Or we can just jump ahead and confirm the order if we already have our pricing set. And this can pretty much serve as a drafted PO for us. So now we just have to confirm. And as you can see, once I confirm this purchase order, I now have one shipment to receive, as well as vendor bills that I can pay. So I can actually receive this shipment by clicking on this icon here, by clicking on Receive Products here. Or if you can think back to that inventory dashboard, I'll now have one to receive if I trace through there as well. So let's see, we can actually access there and give it a peek. So as you can see, now we have one to receive, so we can access through here. I'll go ahead and I'll trace back to the purchase order now. So we can go into purchase orders, and here's PO number 2. Perfect. So now let's just go ahead and receive the products. Okay, so here we are. This is a receipt document number 2 here in our inventory. We can now come in and validate that we've received these items. But as an example here, I'm going to specify, let's say we only receive the first 150 of these items. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to save this in and validate that we received 150 out of 200. And the system will actually catch this discrepancy. It says you've processed less products than the initial demand. Create a backorder if you expect to process the remaining products later, or do not create a backorder if you will not supply the remaining products. So if we still want to bring in those final 50, we'll create a backorder. If we just want to call it at the 150 there, we can say no backorder for now. But let's go ahead. I'm going to create the backorder. Basically what it's going to do is set this entire document to done. So we're at 150 out of 150. And if we trace back to our PO, we'll be able to see we now have one more shipment to be brought in that's associated with this purchase order. Also, if I trace back again to my inventory dashboard, I'll be able to see I now have one back order, also one item to receive. So that's going to be that remaining 50 units of our multivitamin. So let's see, I'm just going to trace back into purchases here. Let's go back into purchase orders now, into PO number 2. And we can access the shipments and see. So as you can see, we just processed receipt number 2. Now we have receipt number 3, which is a back order of receipt number 2. So let's click in here. And this is for that remaining 50 units. All set to go there. So now we can actually just validate. Since we left this at 0 and didn't actually enter in a value, the system's going to give us this message each time. It says you haven't processed done quantities. Click apply and Odoo will process all the quantities to do. So basically leaving this at 0, it's going to default to all and give us this warning each time. So let's just go ahead and apply. And we're all set. All 50 out of 50 have now been received. We can trace back and see each of our transfers here. So each of our receipts are now done. And we can also trace back to the PO, and now we can actually pay some vendor bills. So let's click in here. And now let's create. Perfect. So our vendor automatically populates in there. The quantity that we received automatically populates in there as well. We could also add other purchase orders. If we had some other POs that are associated with this vendor, we could add those here. It would basically add another source document up here in the top right, as well as some line items right down below. But let's see. I'll just go ahead and save for now. And let's validate that this is no longer a draft. We can now go ahead and register the payment on this. Specifying the payment journal, I'll say bank and check. And we could actually cut a check directly through our system as well. But let me just validate for now. We can see all of those actions that have taken place are user stamped and time stamped down to the second. So as you can see, the vendor bill being created from the PO, going from draft to open and open to paid. And this is consistent on every object in Odoo. Okay, so we can trace back to our vendor bills. Looks like we're all good there. Purchase orders, we're all set. We can trace back into inventory now and see that we now have products on hand. Perfect. So we now have 200 of our multivitamin here in stock. Okay. So now that we've received the items from our purchase order, let's go ahead and transfer some of our items from our warehouse to the retail location 1. I can do so by starting at our inventory dashboard and actually creating an internal transfer. But first, I actually want to create this location of our retail location. So just coming in here to configuration locations, let's go ahead and create. So right now we just have our San Francisco stock, so just our general stock or our warehouse location. Let's go ahead and create. We'll use this stock as a parent location, and I'm just going to call this retail location 1. And let's go ahead and save. We, of course, can check the current stock at this location by clicking in here and see the products that are associated as well. But let's go back to our dashboard here. Let's go ahead and handle a transfer now. So just need to go into internal transfers here. As you can see, there's 0 to do. We can go ahead and create. So specifying the source location zone and then the destination location zone. So I'm going to go ahead and search for our retail location 1. Perfect. And now we just need to add in our products. So let's go ahead. Let's transfer over, say, 30 of each. So there's our vitamin B12. Here's our cold medicine. Perfect. Fish oil. Men's multivitamin that we just purchased in. And our fish oil tablets. Perfect. Or zinc tablets, pardon me. Okay, so we can save this now. We can schedule this out on a particular date. I'm going to go ahead and do this now, so I'm not going to change the scheduled date. First step is to mark this as to do. We can check availability on this. So as you can see, everything says waiting availability. Once we actually check, it says everything is available. And now we can go ahead and validate this transfer. So it says you haven't set process done quantities. Click apply and Odoo will process all the quantities to do. Again, leaving things at 0. Just click and apply and it'll default to all. So all set to go there. Now we actually have some stock at our retail location 1. To see all of our inventory locations, we can easily come into reporting here and pull an inventory valuation of the current value. Let's go ahead and retrieve this now. And let's see, I'm going to actually clear off some of these filters just so we can actually organize this a bit better. So I'm going to group this by location. As you can see, we can see what is at our customer's location as well as our stock and our retail location here. So here's our retail location. We can see we have 30 units of all 5 of our products here. And then the inventory value of each. Perfect. So now that we have our products at our retail location, let's dive into point of sale and actually sell some items off of our shelves. So let's go into our point of sale app here. Okay, so before we actually start making sales, let's walk through the configuration of our specific point of sale terminals, which are basically our cash registers. I'll touch on the software side, then Clark here is actually going to walk through the hardware setup. So settings are managed on the level of the individual terminal. Here at our point of sale dashboard, each card that you would see here is a cash register, basically a terminal. So let's see. We can also actually manage some advanced settings for global settings, really, for our point of sales. But I'm not going to touch on that today, a little bit out of the scope of this webinar. Okay, so let's see. On this particular terminal, to activate our settings, just go into More and Settings. Let's see here. We can actually specify the stock location that these transactions are going to pull from. So we can specify here. Let's go to our retail location 1. Perfect. Let's see here. We can also specify fiscal positions. So fiscal positions are basically they're going to be different taxes that can be different than our product categories. So our product categories out of the box will have their own taxes that are associated. If we had some other ones as an example, like a local city tax that applies to this terminal specifically, we can go ahead and note this here. We can also specify our different payment methods. So as you can see, we have credit card as well as cash that are going to be active on this point of sale terminal. Also, we can open up some features here. These features actually help as far as the usability for the cashier. So Clark will actually be working on a tablet computer here. We can activate a virtual keyboard for him. We could also open up larger scroll bars, so I actually have that for him now. We can even have display category pictures rather than just the display category names. So a few different options that are available here just to make things a little bit easier as far as usability. In this section here, we can actually configure the hardware, so specifying what hardware is actually going to be plugged into our point of sale box. That point of sale box is going to be specified with the IP address, and Clark will touch on this a bit more here, but this is where we would enter that in, and then specifying today what hardware we're going to actually have. So we'll use our barcode scanner, our cash drawer, as well as our receipt printer. Right down below, we can also activate our receipt. So as you can see, we can do automatic receipt printing. We'll touch on that today, and we'll skip our receipt screen, so we won't even have to click to print it. It'll just automatically happen there. We can also add in a custom header and a custom footer for the receipts that are going to be printed from this particular terminal. We can also activate some discounts as well as loyalty programs and cash control. I'm going to pass on these today, a little bit out of the scope of this webinar. If you do have some additional questions, though, of course, feel free to schedule a meeting with me. We can definitely dive in on these specific items. Okay, so let me just go ahead and save this in for now. Let's get back to the hardware. Let's see. Clark.
Thank you, Nathan. I'll take it away here. I'm going to quickly switch cameras. Okay, so, wrong camera. Here you see our point of sale setup and some of our live broadcasting setup, so pardon the mess. But basically what you're looking at here is a cash drawer, a barcode scanner, a credit card reader, a tablet, and a receipt printer back here, and our document camera, which will probably not be involved in your point of sale setup. And all of this is plugged into a pause box right here via USB ports. So we've got 3 USB plugs coming into this pause box, plus the power. We can see here we've got a little red and green light. Well, you probably can't actually see. A little red and green light, red for power, green for status is okay. Let's see. So should I go ahead and bring up some transactions, Nate?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so, first of all, before I do that, when you boot up your pause box, and this is how you connect your pause box to your Odoo point of sale terminal, when you boot up your pause box with the receipt printer plugged in, what's going to happen is it's going to print out a receipt with the wireless network it's connected to and that IP address. And let me just switch. Okay, here's a document camera. So this is the receipt. I printed this out earlier to save you guys some time. I don't know how well you can see. But on here is a network, an IP address, a MAC address, and the port that the pause box is using. So to configure the pause box, you connect to the port. By default, that's going to be 8069. But to connect it to your point of sale system, all you need to do is come into these the point of sale settings, like Nathan showed you, and type in that IP address. And you do have to be on the same network. The pause box, the late model pause boxes can connect wirelessly with an internal wireless adapter, or you can plug it into your router, however you find to be more reliable. And as an aside, if you start up your pause box for the first time and it's not connected to any network, it's going to print out this receipt is going to say that the network is POSBox, and your POSBox will start broadcasting a wireless network. And it's going to give you the password to connect to that wireless network. And you can then decide which network you want the POSBox to be on that way.
One thing to note about this POSBox, I mean, a little bit of the value that it holds is not only just to plug in all of our hardware, but it gives us multiple different plugs to actually access there, all those USB ports. But also it allows us to actually take our point of sale terminal wirelessly. So we're connecting there. So Clark could actually walk around with this tablet now, sort of in an Apple Store fashion, you could say. Walk around the store, go ahead and make transactions in that way. Also with our point of sale, we can actually run this offline. So in just a moment, Clark's going to start a new session. All we need is internet connectivity during that session, or actually to get that session up and running. Then if we lose connectivity, this POSBox will actually store all these transactions. Then when we get back to internet, it'll actually go ahead and upload from there. So we just need enough internet connectivity to get this session up and running. We can go ahead and lose connectivity at any time, and of course make transactions as the need be.
Absolutely. And just to clarify, the role of the POSBox is to bring in all your peripherals and then talk to Odoo. So you don't need a tablet then with 6 USB ports to connect to everything.
Right.
So you plug your peripherals into the POSBox, and that sends data back and forth between Odoo. Let's see. So where are we at?
Let's go into some transactions here. Or actually, we also have a diagram that can show the hardware setup just a bit better.
Let's quickly switch back to that. Just switching to Nathan's computer.
Perfect. So as you can see here, here's our POSBox here in the middle. We have this, of course, plugged into power, but then it can connect to all of our different hardware. So for example, we have our barcode scanner, we have our receipt printer, our cash drawer is hooked up to our receipt printer, and then of course we can have this either hardwired to a router or just using Wi-Fi there. And as you can see, the point of sale device has no wires that are associated there. So this is basically the setup that we're operating with today, except we're using a wireless internet connection.
Exactly. Thank you, Nathan. Let's see.
So let's get in here. Let's actually make some transactions happen here in just a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you want to show something, or can I take it away?
It's all you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so here we are back in our view. Pardon, this thing has gotten all out of focus. What we're going to do is we're going to open up a session from our point of sale dashboard, and this will be available to users of Odoo, as well as, or if you have user level access rights, you'll be able to see this. And that takes you to this page here. You can see the cashier is selected up at the top here, and that's going to default to whoever was logged in when you started this session. But what you can do is you come in here and you can change cashier if you'd like. Here I've got Nathan, but I set up a PIN for Nathan, so every employee can have a PIN. You can also scan a barcode. If you have a badge with a barcode on it, you could scan that to sign into your session. But I'm going to stay as myself and go ahead and ring up an order here. So I do have a barcode scanner enabled, so I'm going to pick up one of these sample products right here, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and I'm going to pick up my barcode scanner, and I'm going to go ahead and scan one of these products. And as you can see, that quantity 1 vitamin B12 250 tablets appears here. I can scan it again to add another one. Say the customer purchases 2. Here I could grab another one of my demo products, this 50 milligram zinc tablets, and I'll scan one of these guys in too. Let's see, and now let's say I want to go ahead and process payment for this order. What I can do, before that, you can also input a quantity using this number pad right here. So for example, I rung up that zinc, but there's 10 of them on the table for some reason, and I don't want to scan 10. I can just type in 10 right there, and we have now 10 units at that $8.49 each. And I can remove quantity using that little delete button, and then remove the line item once it reaches 0. So let's just ring up these quantity 2 vitamin B12 tablets. So let's go forward to process payment. And here we've got two payment methods set up. We've got cash and credit. And I do actually have a credit card reader here. So let's go ahead and try that. And what I don't actually have to select this payment method. I can just go ahead and swipe the credit card. And that should pop right up. There we go. And it auto-populates with the amount due. And you can see the credit card, the last 4 digits of my little demo credit card here come up. And then I can go ahead and validate. And that'll print out a receipt. And on that receipt, if you can see, there is a line for the customer to sign and all the other necessary receipt information. So you can have them sign that and save it for your records. Let's see.
Perfect.
Is there anything else you want to show? Should I show a cash transaction?
So now we're back to our initial dashboard here where we can go ahead and process the next transaction. So a few things that we could do if you guys wanted to actually store customer information and gather that info, we can go ahead and specify the customer from the screen as well. So just by clicking on customer there, Clark, you can actually go ahead and set the customer down below. So we're just going to select the product. We can go ahead and specify a customer here. So this is just a contact list that's already existing. We can even add in a new customer at this screen as well, just by clicking that small icon in the top. Perfect. So now we could type in a name if we needed to. We could actually go ahead and type in their email address if we'd like to store that information as well. Let's just throw in like john@test.com as an example. So yeah, we can go ahead and store in their information. Hit that little save icon in the top right. Perfect. And now we just click set customer, and now we can go ahead and process that transaction from there.
Great. And now this customer will be linked to John Doe.
Exactly.
And he can accumulate, if you have this feature enabled, he can accumulate loyalty points, not liability points, loyalty points, which you can accumulate and spend on future products, discounts.
Exactly.
We could do a whole webinar on the loyalty program, so we're not going to get into that.
Right.
But then I can go ahead and process payment. And let's say I want to do cash this time. And John Doe gives me a $10 bill. And I can validate. And the cash drawer opens, and I can give John Doe the specified 24 cents and change. And then I can close the cash drawer.
And again, now we're on to the next transaction. So the system's pretty fast. Some small things to make it even go a little bit faster, like removing the receipt printing screen and things of that nature, just to get through these transactions in a much quicker fashion. Also, that by setting the customer record there, we'll be able to actually see that in reporting later on. We can actually look up this customer and see all of their point of sale transactions that occurred. So yeah, that's the basics as far as handling a transaction there.
Okay, absolutely. Let's see. This tablet is connected to the pause box via Wi-Fi. They're both connected to the same wireless network.
Perfect.
Let's see. Moving right along.
Yeah, so now that we've completed our sales for the day, let's close the session here, and then we'll look into our reports. So let's see if we're back on the tablet, we can click close in the top right-hand side and click it one more time just to confirm that we're going to close. Perfect. And let's see, we'll now be back at our main screen here. Nice. So now we can go ahead and click close there. Perfect. And we can go ahead and validate the closing and post our entries. So this will now go ahead and post everything in accounting. Okay, so now that we've actually posted these entries, we can now come in here and see our reports. So let's see if we can get back to my screen here. Nice. So now let's see. Going into reporting and then orders, I can create a pivot table to see the sales totals by product each day. So as an example right now, out of the box, we have each of our product categories here. I'm actually going to remove that now. I'm just going to open up the products. And then up here on the top, we have our sales by month. I can actually go to the date by day. So now I can see the product quantity that was sold and the total price that was sold each day here. And this is a pivot table. So again, I can open up even more layers to this if the need be. But as you can see, let's see my sales totals for today on the 19th. Looks like I sold 3 units of my vitamin B12 to get us a total price here. So just pulling this information, if you wanted to have it for your reporting, you of course can download this into Excel as well. So this will be our Excel file. It looks exactly like this table here. Also going into orders and orders, we can now see all of the different transactions that were made today and the details of those. So let's click on in here. As you can see, we can see where the customer was specified. Let's actually click in on this. So not only will we be able to see the products that were sold, the unit price, any discount that was given, taxes, subtotal, and grand total, but also we'll be able to see the payment method. So as you can see, cash here. We can even see extra info as far as the location that we're pulling from in inventory. We can see the salesperson, the picking here. So this is just the stock move. And then, of course, the receipt reference. Even seeing some accounting information right down here at the bottom. Also from this screen, we can actually do a return of our products as well. So if we actually wanted to process a return, we could find that particular transaction and run a return from here if the need be. Touching back on our customer, so setting our customer here for John Doe, I can actually click in here. So this will actually bring me to Joe's contact card. And as you can see, I can see everything that John is associated with here in the system. So it looks like there's no sales from our sales module, but we actually do have some point of sale transactions that occurred with John. And this will get us right back here. So again, we could access this going from contacts. We can search through all of our customers by various fields, such as their phone number, their email address, as an example. Let's go ahead and find him here. So we can do a quick search. Email contains John, and let's apply. So here's John Doe. I can now click in on, and now I'm back to his contact record and can see all of the sales that are associated with this customer in case any sort of issues come up or in case we needed to gather this information in any way. Let's see. Also, now that we made our sales, we can come back into inventory and see that our stock levels have adjusted here. So I'm just going to go back into reporting. Let's do a quick inventory valuation here, and let's retrieve the inventory value. So again, I'm going to remove these filters here, and I'm going to do a quick group by. I'm going to group by location here. And since this is how I consistently like to reference my inventory valuation, I'm going to save this as a favorite, and I'm actually going to use this by default so that each time I come in, it's going to be sorted in this way based on location here. So now let's see. Let's look into our retail location 1. And let's see, as you can see, our products have updated here. So our zinc and our vitamin B12 that we just sold off went ahead and made that adjustment. So all set to go there. So yes, that basically concludes today. To recap, we've reviewed how to create and manage our products in inventory. We've even presented our products on various sales channels and created an inventory location for our retail store. We then sold our products, pulled from this location, and configured our point of sale, handled transactions, and pulled our sales reports to see our store success from today's sales. If you'd like to dive further into the software, you can schedule a free session of one-on-one consulting with me. You can follow the link that's in the description of the video now, or let's see, we can actually see this link on my screen now as well. And again, it's odoo.com/r/Nathan. You can do 1 hour free consulting with me. Just follow that link in the description. And again, in this hour, we can walk through a demonstration. We can discuss your current processes and touch on any of our Odoo apps to see if Odoo will be a good fit for your business.
Great, absolutely. Thank you, Nathan. And now let's go ahead and jump into these questions. Let's see. David Green is asking if there's a way to to manually remove the tax from a specific point of sale order, with some customers in his use case being tax exempt. Is there a way to do this to specifically remove a tax from the customer level? David Green, I think I briefly addressed that I don't think there's a way to remove the taxes specifically from a point of sale order in the point of sale.
So I think what we could do is we could set up a fiscal position. Usually fiscal positions are set up on the contact. So let's see if we look at John Doe here as an example. Let's see, in sales and purchases, or maybe it's in our invoicing tab, we can actually specify a fiscal position for this customer. So on the customer level, it can basically negate a tax. Or again, when we went through our point of sale configuration, we actually could specify different fiscal positions that are going to be available on this terminal. So as you can see, we can have a default one or just specifying some that are available here. This is basically a many-to-many field. You can add as many as you need to. So yeah, I think in this way we could actually select a fiscal position that would negate the taxes that are already associated with the products. So there are a few methods in place there that we could actually handle that. But I think it would be easiest, of course, if it was a returning customer to just set it on that customer record.
Yeah, and I'm not sure the exact order in which fiscal positions are applied. I think that the taxes they're largely additive, but there might be a situation in which they supersede each other. Like I said, I'm afraid I don't know off the top of my head, but you could send us an email at events@odoo.com, and we could look into that, talk about that use case. Yeah, let's see. But for now, let's just move on to the next question. And that will be from, let's see, Jonathan Schulenberg is asking if a product can be visible on the website but restricted to in-store pickup. That is, can you set Delivery methods based on product through the e-commerce.
Let's see. I believe on the product category level you can
On the
specify
category level?
this.
Is that it?
I
Let's take a
believe
look
so.
and see if that's possible.
Let's double check and see here as far as inventory goes. I'm going to come into a product here.
I know you
click
can't
in.
set it on the product, but
Possibly on the internal category. We may be able to set this up. Let's see. Logistics. Perfect. The following routes will apply to the products in this category, taking into account parent categories. So let's see. This is more so first in, first out.
That's how you
last in,
pick
first
items
out.
out of
That's how you-
inventory.
Yeah, that's how we're pulling from our inventory. So more so internally. Let's see.
I'm afraid I don't think it's possible out of the box. You could possibly develop that feature. I don't know if just adding the delivery method field to the to a product or product category would probably be insufficient, but I don't think it's impossible. I think it is possible to set up, but it is not a feature that is available out of the box without customization.
Right.
So hopefully that answers your question. Again, send us an email if you want clarification on that, or book a meeting with Nathan. Here's a platform question from A.T. Mirhat Incorporated Church Restoration, asking if there's a better way to load a very large amount of products to prevent the system from loading slowly or timing out. I messaged our platform team, and they suggested using the POS cache module. I also linked a thread with some discussion on that in the Odoo forums. But basically, to enable the offline functionality of Odoo, the system is going to load everything into the point of sale session at the same time. So if you can reduce the number of products that you're loading into the session, that will speed loading time. If you can make them archived or not available in point of sale,
Right.
that's
Also-
a little bit more advanced than
Right.
we deal with here on the Quick Start team. We don't generally work with quantities of products that are that large in a point of sale environment. Usually those are enterprise deployments, and we have the platform team here who manages the Odoo online deployment. So that's outside my personal area of expertise.
Right. And also, as far as adding or editing products that are already existing in inventory, we can always do a mass export of our current products. Basically, when we do that export, it's going to include a field called external ID. Basically, if our product has an external ID, that means it's already existing in the system. So then we can go in and edit any of the fields that are associated in that spreadsheet that's pulled. And then when we import it back in, the system's going to reference that external ID and make an update to an existing product. Versus if we're just adding a product to that spreadsheet, that would basically be adding a new record into the system. So if we're just adding or updating products that are already in the system, basically an inventory and how we're going to manage those products, we can use our import and export tool for that.
Absolutely. Here's another question from Jonathan. It appears that the point of sale terminal is already logged into Odoo, which it was. Is it the expectation that each cashier will log into Odoo and then open the point of sale module?
Yes. So basically, each of our registers are considered a device, or could be considered a user at that point. To really, I guess, minimize the number of users that you would need, it would just be the number of registers that you have. So we're going to be operating Odoo on multiple devices, as you can see with Clark having his tablet. I had my laptop here. So yeah, we could see that Clark was signed in. Let's see, from the dashboard, as far as point of sale goes, we'll be able to see if it's being used or not. We could see this in just a moment if we just trace over there. As you can see, it's unused right now. If Clark was signed in on his tablet, it would actually say his name here, and we wouldn't have the option for a new session. So basically, if Clark was signed in, we'd actually be able to access and see, who signed in at this terminal at this particular time. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nathan. Sorry, I was just combing through some of the new questions. Yeah, so you will need to log into Odoo and then open up the point of sale session. Likely how you'd have this configured would just be to, well, actually, we're running the Odoo app right now. Let's see, which I've actually not terribly familiar with, but basically you open the app on your, let me jump into my tablet view here.
Yeah, one thing to note as far as our Odoo app, it's actually available for Android devices. If we are going to be using an iPad or an iPhone or any sort of Apple device, we actually recommend just going through a web browser. We recommend Google Chrome. Safari also works very well. But the system's totally mobile adaptive, so whatever size device you're using, it'll actually shrink down and fit your screen there. But for Android devices, just for a usability standpoint, we went ahead and created an app that's available on the Google Play Store.
Yeah, so what we've done here is we just opened up the Odoo app. let's see. I'm going to close everything on this tablet and then open the app, which will load up Odoo. And it should land us on the app's dashboard. And so you will see an app's dashboard. You can select which database you're going to be logging into if you're not at all logged in. And that'll just be...
Also, one thing to note here as far as Clark's user account, if Clark is just a cashier, I can narrow down as the admin, I can narrow his user access rights down to only point of sale if I needed to. So as you can see right now, we can see the discuss, the contacts, the sales, website even our invoicing and inventory. So if I wanted to just narrow down what Clark is able to use to just point of sale, I absolutely could do so.
Yeah, I am set up as a full administrator for this database, but you would actually, for a real deployment, you'd only see this point of sale app. And so you would open that and then choose which point of sale setup you'd be using and start a new session.
Perfect.
And like I said, you can switch between users within a session. So you could just have your manager go around and boot up every single point of sale session at the beginning of the day. And you don't have to close the session until the end of business hours or until you need a new cash drawer, I believe.
Yeah. Perfect.
Let's see. Let's move on to the next question. Here's one more question from Jonathan. We're just going in chronological order. Can a cashier suspend or lock their session if they go on a break so others can't perform transactions under their name or login?
Right. So that would really tie into signing in as a different user at that step.
So what you could do, there's no default behavior to say log out, but what you could do is you could have a cashier that says no cashier or default cashier here. Just have a user without a PIN, and then everyone else has a PIN. So you just change to the logged out user or guest point of sale user.
Yeah, and then to change back to that person who's going on break, it would require their PIN number access. So.
You'd require a PIN. So you couldn't bring up transactions under anyone else using that workaround. But there's no big old pause button that would say lock the terminal. What you could also do on the Android device or on your tablet, just set up a lock screen password. Right. If you want to prevent any access to the terminal.
Perfect.
Let's see. Carlos is asking about return and exchange of products.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're actually in a point of sale session, let's see, I think Clark signed into a session now. To actually process a return in a session, all we have to do is specify the customer, or you have the option to specify the customer at this step. So go ahead and specify John Doe as an example. We can go ahead and set the customer here.
So I've just selected John Doe as the customer, and let's say John Doe is bringing back, do you remember what he bought?
I believe it was zinc. So let's say we're going to bring back the zinc. Go ahead and scan off that barcode for that item that he's returning. So either way, we can go ahead and make that scan. And then we can just set the quantity to -1. So let's actually change our quantity there.
-1.
Perfect.
No.
Let's see. So scan the product.
Scan the product, excuse me.
So hit the -1.
Perfect.
There we go. And now let's go ahead to payment now. We can then specify how are we going to actually reimburse. So it could be via a gift card or store credit. We could also do cash return as well.
Absolutely. And I do have that credit card here. So let's go ahead and process. I actually don't know if this is going to work with our demo credentials for Mercury, but let's give it a shot. Waiting for swipe.
Let's see. Let's go ahead and swipe this now. Let's see if it populates in there as far as the returns go. Of course, we could do store credit. One thing to note as far as our point of sale with Mercury Pay, which is also known as Vantiv today, they are the sole provider as far as payment acquiring at point of sale, payment processing at point of sale. So through them, we can actually set up gift cards as well as store credit, which could be handled at this step. So in this case, I guess we could just do like a quick cash return.
Yeah, it doesn't look like our demo account, our test credentials with Mercury are going to let us process a return. That's fine. It's a fairly limited set of demo accounts or demo abilities that we have here. But we can go ahead and validate that cash transaction. And be sure to get your barcode scanner out of the way before you do that. And that'll open up the cash drawer and print a receipt, which you can see right here.
And then also, as far as like managing those products that are brought back in, we can always see that by going into our orders and doing some reporting there.
Absolutely.
So
Let me
let's see
just
if we
switch over
can-
to your screen there, Nate.
Yeah, let's look in here. We can always find those orders and then decide what we're going to do as far as what the products and the state of those products. So as you can see, looking in here, these are all of our orders. So just by going to orders and orders, we can now go ahead and do a search. So we can actually do a filter. Let's see by total to find anything that was a return. Let's see. Should be able to dig in on this. We of course can see all of our negative totals here. So let's click on in. And now with this product, let's see, going into extra info, we can see the picking that occurred. So we can drill in on this. As you can see, this is from John Doe into the destination location of retail location 1. So the system knows this is a return that's coming back into our inventory. With this product now, we can basically come in and with this move, we can decide what we're going to do with this. We could scrap this if it's damaged. So if we're actually throwing this product away, I'll scrap this now. We can decide what product we're scrapping. It's going to be our zinc tablet in 1 quantity.
Yeah.
And now we're moving this into a scrap location and set this to done. So we can pretty much tell the system, okay, what do we need to do here with this particular move? And of course, finding that move. We can of course do a filter when we're looking at all of our orders. Where's our negatives at? What is below 0? Because those are going to be items that are being returned back to us.
Great. Thank you, Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
We now have a question about how the offline, or is it possible for this point of sale to work offline?
Yes.
Yes, we did talk about that a little bit earlier. But basically, you only need an internet connection in order to open and close the session. Pardon me if I don't know how to work this tablet as an expert yet, but let's just go ahead and get into, let's turn off Wi-Fi for this tablet. Yeah, there we go. You'll notice that the point of sale is now, let's see.
Still running, still operable at this point.
Still operable, yeah. And I can go ahead and scan some fish oil, for example.
Continue processing transactions, and we'll see that these don't update. So we can go back to my reporting on this side. We won't actually see any of the moves take place just because we're not actually going to be connected here.
You know what?
See.
We just hit upon one.
So let's see. I think our was our point of sale box configured to the actual point of sale terminal via Wi-Fi?
Yeah, we're actually connected to our point of sale terminal, or to our POS box via Wi-Fi.
So we could have that via Bluetooth.
We could also plug it directly in with a Cat5 cable, which would be
Perfect.
the way to go for offline mode. With this configuration, we do need Wi-Fi. So your internet connection could go down, but we do need to be on Wi-Fi in order for this tablet to work.
When we're doing a wireless connection to our point of sale. But you're
Yeah.
saying if we had a wired connection from our point of sale terminal to our POS box, we could go totally offline and everything would operate smoothly from there.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And if I went into the other room and unplugged our wireless router, the point of sale would continue working even though our YouTube stream would stop. So
Perfect.
you don't need internet connection, but with this particular configuration, we do need some sort of Wi-Fi.
Right.
But that doesn't rely on anything outside of your own control. Let's see. Moving on to the next question. Here's one from Roel Adrians, or Roel. Can we sell products that are in another warehouse or location? For example, if you have a store set up with a backstock location and a on-the-shelf location.
Yes, so we could operate in that way. Basically, you could go ahead and access a new terminal. So if you wanted to have another point of sale terminal that's associated with a different location, you could do so. Or of course, you could have another tab open. So what I'm gonna open this link in a new tab. This will just have our same Odoo database, just at our dashboard here. I guess in that case, since we're selling from a different location, we'd then be delivering those products. So we could basically come into our sales module here, and we can just generate a sale order to a customer. So let's go ahead and create now. We can specify our customer who they are. We can even make sure we have their address as well just by editing the customer record here. So adding their address at this step. And now we can pretty much add in our products. So let's go ahead and specify, let's say he's ordering 5 units of our fish oil here. Let's just go ahead and save this. We can confirm this sale now or even print this out for our own records, hand it to the customer. And now as you can see, we have one delivery to go ahead and take place. As well as an invoice that we can create for the customer. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's create and view the invoice. And let's go ahead and validate so it's no longer a draft. We can now print this invoice or send it to the customer via email. So let's send this by email now. So I'll actually go ahead and generate an email for us based on a template using the customer's name. There's our invoice number. There's our grand total. Let's send this over to our customer. So we just invoiced the customer, sent that over, and now we can register payment here at this step as well. We can just go ahead and specify credit, get the total, and validate. So all set to go there. We just went ahead and processed that. And now we can go ahead and access the delivery here directly from the sale order and go ahead and validate from there. So as you can see, just clicking validate, just specifying that we went ahead and delivered these items. So yes, absolutely, you can actually pull from different locations.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
That's if you say, I can arrange it to be shipped to you from our remote warehouse. As to whether or not the point of sale cares whether there is sufficient stock in the location that it's pulling of, I don't think it cares. So if you have it in back stock and you have it in your store, you just set it up on the parent location between those.
Right.
And the point of sale.
Yeah, the point of sale will pull from there. But as far as just fulfilling that later on, I definitely would recommend going through the sales module. If it's not something that's directly in the store, maybe in just a storage room in the back, of course you can just do a quick transaction from point of sale and then just go ahead and hand it to the customer there.
Yeah, and if you are pulling from a parent location, it's going to be using FIFO to pull from those locations. So it might grab from stock or it might grab from the shelf, depending on which product landed where first.
Right.
You could force a removal strategy.
I think that might be a little bit
which
too
is getting a
detailed
little
there.
bit advanced.
Right.
But fundamentally, the point of sale, it assumes that if you're ringing up the product, you have it in stock, and it won't throw an error when you try to ring up a product that says, sorry, you don't have that product, because obviously you do. You're ringing it up. You scan the barcode. You typed in the product code.
Exactly.
It's going to be there.
It's assuming that that physical product is there at that transaction.
Yeah. It'll default to assuming that the physical reality is correct and not the
virtual.
Not the virtual reality of your stock levels in Odoo. So if you ring something up that doesn't exist in stock, it's going to assume it'll create a negative. It'll let your stock go negative, basically,
Right.
In order to have that product be available to sell, because you're there selling it. It must be there. Let's see. Janice is asking if there is a product item quantity limit. Can you set a maximum number of products that can be rung up on a point of sale order? Out of the box, I don't think so.
I don't believe so. I think you can process as many as pretty much possible there. So no, out of the box, no. It may be possible through development or just through some customization with the implementation team. I'd have to double check a little bit further and talk to some people from that department, though.
That's something that I would need to ask one of our technical team about. I get the sense that it's probably possible, but it might be surprisingly difficult to add a maximum quantity, or it might be surprisingly easy. So
yeah,
sorry for the vague answer. It's probably possible. I don't know how hard it will be to add a maximum quantity field. Let's see. We are running short on time, and I apologize that we weren't able to get to all of your questions because you guys asked a lot of questions, which is great. We appreciate that. Let's see. Let me just come through and see if there's any low-hanging, easy questions we can answer for you guys. Here's one from Jonathan again. We've answered a lot of your questions, but I guess you asked good questions, compelling questions. If we manufacture an item and then sell it in multiple quantities, what is the best way to create those products so that they appear on e-commerce and point of sale while still tying back to the same manufactured product?
Gotcha. Okay, so we can actually handle this in a few different ways. Right now there's not a manufacturing installed in here, but let me actually install it now. So what we can do is actually have multiple bills of materials associated with the product, pretty much kit them together. So it's not going to be an actual bill of materials that's going to manufacture this good, but more so we'll be able to ship it in multiple different quantities. So let's see. We can also manage different units of measure when we're looking in our inventory as well. So we can basically specify what's the unit of measure we actually want to reference this when we're looking in our inventory here versus what is the unit of measure that we purchase this item in at. So let's see, I guess in your case, bundling those items together, you could consider that as a manufacturing process if we're actually packaging them together, because in that way we'd be including a box in that bill of materials. We could include, the tape or whatever sort of packaging materials in that bill of materials to say, yes, I've packaged and have stored, this many of this item. But in other words, we could also come into inventory, and just as an example here, just want to show you this one thing. Going into a product here, we can actually have a bill of materials that's just a kit. So let's see. Coming into our bill of materials here, we can create one now and basically specify the quantity of this. Let's say it's 1. We can ship this product as a set of components. So we could be all good to go there. Basically, we would have multiple different products in the system. So let's say, just going to go back to products. What we would do here, let's create, I'm going to say a multivitamin 3-pack. Right? So now let me just save this in with this basic configuration. I'm going to add a bill of materials to this. So let's create. We're going to add in our multivitamins. So let's see, there's our multivitamins and 3 quantity, and we're going to ship this product as a set of components. So let's save this in now. So now this 3-pack can now have a separate set of barcode as well as internal reference, things of that nature, and we're not actually going to have any on hand at any time, but more so when we actually make a sale of this item, it's going to pull 3 of our actual multivitamin and include those in the picking. So as an example now, just going to go to a generic sale order. Let me create and let me actually sell this product. Let's say I'm selling to James here. Let's add in our 3-pack. Says you plan to sell 1 unit, you have 0 units available, that's okay. So let's save this in. You can go ahead and confirm the sale. Now on this delivery order, we should just have 3 units of our multivitamin. So as you can see, here's our men's multivitamin, 85 tablets, with just 3 units of that. So in that way, we're only managing the stock of the actual single item, but we can sell this in packs of 3 or packs of 5, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonathan, just fundamentally, every sales channel in Odoo is pulling back from the same product catalog from the same items in stock. So regardless of how you're selling it through a kit, through point of sale, through e-commerce,
It'll all be pulled in the same way.
It's all making stock moves on the same product, likely from the same stock locations, but that'll depend on your configuration.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But that does bring us to the end of our time. We're actually 2 minutes over time. So that's all the questions we have time for. But I do really want to thank you all for coming out today. We really appreciate all of you taking the time to come and learn about Odoo. We wouldn't be here without our wonderful user and partner community. So we really appreciate all of you being out here today. If you did get here late, know that today's session was recorded, and you can review it at any time just by revisiting the URL at the top of this page. If you got here by another means, if you signed up for the webinar, just use that same access link at any time. You can come back and watch this recording. And if you're interested in other webinars, past webinars, we have a playlist on our YouTube channel, Odoo Webinars playlist. I don't know how the SEO is on that playlist, actually, but
no, you could find it by Google Odoo Webinars, and you'll find a playlist there. It'll probably be the second selection down.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks for joining today.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to plug a few more things here. If you're interested in future webinars, please subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you out, and that's a great way to stay notified. We host webinars like this Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And we have additional broadcasts on a more flexible schedule. This is only out of our San Francisco office, but we also broadcast out of our Brussels office.
I believe so.
And I think our Hong Kong office too, actually, but they're on a time zone that's fairly inconvenient.
For me.
For me, anyway.
Yes.
Works for them. Or if you're in Europe or Africa, then either the Belgian office time zone or the Hong Kong office time zone might be a good one for you. So in short, please subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to our channel. We'd love to see you here again for another webinar. And as a last thing, if you'd like to see a personalized demo of Odoo, if you're interested in starting to use Odoo, Nathan is the man to talk to. And you can book a meeting directly in his calendar by going to the link in the description of this video and clicking on that. And that link is odoo.com/r/Nathan. And with that, Nathan, unless you have any last words, I'm going to go ahead and shut off the broadcast.
I'm all set today, Clark. Thanks for the time. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you. Much appreciated.